thing for letting you do that. Okay.
All right, cool. Well, I'm recording through my Streamlabs now, which is funny. It'll be better audio quality anyway. All right. So where we left off basically last time was we had put all the videos, which in this case was just 4, that I had recorded on my phone, me playing the different parts, we had imported them into Premiere just by clicking up here. You double click up here and it lets you choose what videos you want to. There's one missing that I just exported that I think I'm going to need. Oh, wait, no. I'm looking in the wrong spot. That's why. Which actually, I'm going to drag one more in here to talk about in a second, which is in videos. Teaching videos. The toots. All 4 raw. There we go. Boom. Cool. So, yeah, imported the videos we want to use here, and we drag them down onto the timeline down here. Get my big head out of the way just for a second so you can see that a little bit better. Wait, where's my thing? There we go. Right, so drag them down to the timeline down here. Line up the claps, which again, we lined them up here, and you can do that by, the best way to do that is by using the arrow keys on your keyboard to move a single frame at a time. And you can see where the claps line up. It's now frozen, which is great. I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff today. My computer's getting a little bit chunky. I need to restart it or something. But see, we line up all the claps, line it up with the audio clap peak in the audio portion down here. Sorry, this side, right there, right there. And if I play it, there you go. They're all lined up. Nice clap. And then again, down here, let's start playing. Oops. So now I have the nice audio from the edited version that we did in the
Which we
last.
can't hear yet.
Oh, whoops. I have to share the sound, which lets me do. There we go. Yeah, so, yep. Alright, so all lined up with the nice audio from the last session we did. A couple of things here. Now, what if you have too many videos, or just you want to shape them all to be the same size or something like that? You need to be able to change the size of these videos. One way you can do it is just to, if you click on it down here, that's you've won, so it's this one, or double click. Actually, if you double click on any of these, you get the little dots around it that you can then drag and change the size. That's just kind of resizing, but keeping the same shape. If you want to cut some off or crop some of it, you have to do a different thing, and you actually have to add, it's technically a video effect. And over here on the right, you have this list of effects. You might have something else defaulted, like the essential graphics or something, but in this list, you want effects. And when you click on effects, then you have these little folders, and you want video effects, and you pop that down. And then what you're looking for is the transform folder down here. It says transform, and then there's one called crop. And all you want to do is drag that right onto, you see that it kind of highlights while you're dragging it. You get like a dark gray highlight around the one you're over. Drop it on whichever one you want to crop. Boom. Now that is there. Now here, up in this middle thing, which I currently have set to mixer, but I'm not using that. But this is sort of a panel where you can have all kinds of different options. But when you have an effect there, it goes under effect controls, which is up here on the top left currently for me. And now you see these are all different ones. There's always a motion, always an opacity one, which is like you can make it transparent or whatever, see-through. And then down here is the one we just dropped. It's crop. And you have all these options, left, top, right, etc. And if you have all these percentages right now, they're all set to 0. If you click on it and drag left or right, that value will change, and you can see it just crops off one part. So I mean, I usually, especially with bigger videos, I'll kind of make them sort of square, and pull a little bit off the left and a little bit off the right. You can be as sort of fastidious with this as you want. If you want to like make sure they're all the exact same and whatever, you can do that. I tend to just eyeball it and then kind of play Tetris with how I want them to fit together. Once you get it like this, now you can still double click on it and you see the original size in the box around it still. And you can resize that the same way. You can make it smaller, whatever, make it bigger. You can drag it around wherever you want, and it'll just stay wherever you put it. Right? So that's cropping, which is sort of like to resize things. And you can do it from the top, you can do it from the bottom, whatever, however you want to change that size of each individual video, just using that crop tool, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to do it on all the videos because for this case, I don't need it or want it for the next thing I want to do. But, so that's that, I guess. Just changing the size of the videos. That makes sense. Everybody feel good about that? Any questions about the particulars of cropping a video? It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy to follow, I think. It's just a matter of knowing where to find it and what to do with it, which in this case, again, it's on the right, under Effects, under Video Effects, Transform, Crop, drag it onto the video you want. Then under Effect Controls, you, down here under Crop, can adjust how much you want cut off each side. Yeah? Cool. All right, now what I want to do actually is I'm going to delete all of these from the timeline. And what I actually did right before this is I exported a version of this that was exactly what you see here. It was the 4 videos, whatever. And so now let's say we have a group of 16 kids, and we're trying to do this on our work laptops, and the editing is already causing all kinds of system issues with just 4 videos, because to do that, to work on these videos, every time you move the cursor around or anything, your computer is processing all 4 of those videos at once. They're 4 full videos. It's processing, all the information you're trying to get through it. Well, a kind of easy workaround for that is to, again, say you have 16. It becomes a little tougher when you have weirder numbers. But for this example, we will say 16. But say you have 20, then you can use the cropping to get 5 kids in a thing at a time, or make Tetris piece shapes or whatever you want. What I do in that case, and I've done this with some of the bigger videos too, where I was exporting like 25 videos at a time, is I make one and export it, like I did right before this. I'm going to delete those, and that is this all 4 raw. If I drag this down to the timeline, I'll stick it up here for now because I want to get rid of the audio, but drag this down to the timeline. Now it looks exactly the same, right? Except this has been exported. This is only one video now because it's been fully processed by Premiere and sent out as one video. So now when my computer runs this, and I'm going to unlink this audio. Remember, when you import the videos, they're linked to their original audio, and because we have the edited audio from our work last session in Audition, we want to unlink them and then just straight up delete that audio. Because this is the exact same thing, the clap still should be lined up and everything. I didn't change anything, I don't believe. Oops, that's the wrong key. Nope, sorry. Here we go. Yeah, still pretty lined up. But let's see. But yeah, now this is only one video, so it looks exactly the same, but my system is much less taxed using that one video. What you could do is separate your kids into groups of 4 and make videos just like this. This is if you had 16, and again, the number changes. You might have to do some weird math. But you take this and then treat it just like you did the other videos. You can double click. You can go like this, stick it up in a corner. And, in this case, they're all the same, right? So it's kind of cheating. I can just do that again 4 times to pretend like it's 4 different small ensembles. Right? Put this up here. Whatever. I'm doing this sort of. I would normally be a little bit more. And again, gonna unlink that. Actually, we'll do it all at once so you can see that it's also pretty easy to do it all at once. To unlink if you have a big list of videos. And then one more just for funsies. All right. Now, select all these, just those 3. Right click, unlink, delete. Now, I mean, it's not going to sound like 16 people because it's still the same audio. Now it's essentially right now my computer is doing exactly as much work as it did a second ago when I only had the 4 individual videos up there. Now it's only processing 4 videos because I did 4, exported it, brought them back in as its own video, right? And you could do this again. So you have, whatever 16 squared is. Like, huge number, of kids. You could do it the same way, and it would keep your system from being overly taxed, right? Does that all make sense?
Yeah. So you're putting all the raw audio and video together at once, right? When you're doing those like 4 square templates.
No, I'm just
As opposed, because you had audio, but like you could conceivably put all the video together, remove the audio in Premiere, and then just save the video with no audio.
Oh, yes. You could do that also. Yeah. You could just like delete this audio out and then export it and only bring the audio in for the very end. You just have to make sure with each iteration you're lining up the claps, right? With each, each time you're lining up all the claps so that everything's lined up. Yeah, and that's sort of a big one that could be very useful, I think, if we are dealing with, work laptops and things. Did Steve leave already? Yeah, he said Deuce is probably
he's
gone. He was running into some issues trying to use Premiere with his work laptop, something about a driver being out of date or anything like that. Has anyone else run into anything like that? Sean, you have? Shoot. Well, I honestly don't know. I need... Yeah, what happened?
I had to go to school and actually download that driver and get it to go because that was an outdated driver.
Oh, but you did get it to work though, okay.
Yeah, but I had to go actually download that driver from school. It wouldn't work from home. So.
Okay, well, it stinks that you had to do that, but I'm glad at least you figured it out. He called me and we were trying to figure it out, and we're having trouble. So, yeah, I might if anyone else has that issue, we might look to you as well to do that. I'm not using my work laptop for this, but I might try just to see what we run into, but. Then, from basically at this point, once you have it here, it's really good enough to be done, right? You don't need anything necessarily fancier. As I showed really quickly last time, I like to add just a little bit of a title or something. You don't want all this extra sound here between the clap and the beginning, right? You don't want the clap in there. So, and all this extra like rumbling around. So you can just grab it right here. It's this little it's right behind
head's in the way.
It's right behind my head. Here we go. It's this little, the icon changes to this little thing. I don't know what you call it. Line with an arrow on it. You can just drag it down to here. As long as you don't move the audio in relationship to the video or anything, it will remain in the right place, and now it'll just be silence until it starts playing. If for some reason you have a weird beginning and it's not a very like strong beginning, and you want it to like maybe fade in a little bit, just real quick, any kind of fading, that is also in effects, only it's under audio. Excuse me, audio transitions. That's what you want. And the crossfade works just fine. And I gotta be honest, I don't really fully know the difference between these. I usually use the constant power, and you just drag it down here, and it goes like this. Does this thing? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It does this thing, and then you can adjust the length of the fade in you want right here just by dragging. And, you know, that's way too much for what I want, but this is what that sounds like. Right? Which isn't bad still, I guess, but maybe just a little one at the beginning for me. Get a little bit of breath in there so it seems more natural. You know? Whatever, that's up to preference. And actually, same deal. If you want fade-ins in the video or anything like that, fade-ins, fade-outs, that is in video transitions. And dissolve is what you want there. I have not used WeVideo, actually. I know some people use it. Almost powerful while keeping everything in the cloud. No, I haven't used it. I can look into it and see what it can do there. But it's, from what I know, I have had some. I think I tried to use it one time, and the cloud-based thing was like was slowing me down a little bit. But that question was about WeVideo for those simply listening. But I can look into that if that's something that people are having a little bit of an easier time with. Yeah, this for, video transitions, if you want it to fade in or anything. I mean, let's shorten this and maybe make them uneven because I like it. I like that look when they come in at different times. It's a weird preference of mine. It'll be different because they're in chunks of 4 now. So they kind of come in like this and start playing. So we want them to fade in a little bit. We do. I like the dip to black, which is just coming out of a black screen. And same deal, just drag it to the front. Whoop. You can do it to all 4 if you want. This is, we're getting into preference stuff now, but if you want to make them a little prettier, this is, how you do it. So now I don't know what that was. Something weird happened there. Huh. I don't know what it's doing there. Something strange. I should have to edit. But you can select and delete them if it's something you don't want. Just the regular additive dissolve works also. Do that one for now. And then the one last thing. 2 quick last things, actually. There we go. Now they just fade in nicely. Right. TJ, we arrive in matched quartets. And then the one more thing, just for sort of making the beginning look nice. If you have it in the black area, it's the easiest to edit this. You simply hit T, the T key, T for text, and then you can click anywhere on the screen. And it brings up a little text box, and you can and then hit V to go back to, sorry, you want to click down here first. And now click V to go back to your regular cursor, so you're not just starting text boxes everywhere. And you can make it bigger. And you can have that fade in also. And fade out maybe. Again, just drag it to the end of it. And then select all this. Drag it all back. I'm actually going to put this on a different track so it's not overlapping. And to do that, just drag something outside of where tracks are and it'll automatically make it. Oops. Undo. See, I just moved a single track. That would have been disastrous. You need to keep them all together if you're moving stuff around. We go like this. And now, let's see if this is too long. Yeah, it's a little long. Yeah, maybe shorten it a little bit. Again, just preference stuff. I'm just now talking about preference. And there's that. Now, one last thing. If you want to make it even fancier, which we can talk about, we can deal with the ending later, but you want to basically do the same kind of thing we did in the front, where you cut off the extra stuff, you know, give them sort of uneven endings here. Well, maybe let that hang out a little bit longer, since it's got a little bit of reverb or whatever to it. Get rid of some of the clicks. And give it a fade out also. Just for kicks, short one. Cool. Keep all the thumbs ups in there. Great, and then at this point, it's, I mean, to me, this would be great, right? Like this, there's no more need. Oh, I just realized I'm gesturing wildly, and you can see me. So, you know, as for me, this is fantastic. This is great. No more is needed. If you have a little bit more of a preference, you can do all kinds of stuff. Like say during this part, you wanted to focus on just one of them, like one of the groups of 4 or one student or something. If you hit the C key, it pulls up this razor thing, and you can just cut through stuff. Again, now at this point, you want to resize stuff. You don't want to move it. If you start moving it, it gets all out of alignment. But you can resize stuff and cut it. Say I wanted to cut all of them. I could select them all, hit C, this little razor comes up. I'll cut right on where my line is. Oh, I forgot it doesn't actually, that's something a different program of mine does if they're all selected. Now they're all cut, but I haven't moved anything or resized anything or changed anything, so it still will play just like normal. Alright, it's just no difference there. But if I want to, say, focus on the one of them, it doesn't matter which one, I can go like this. Now it's only them for that section, and it's the same size and everything. But I want to cut up here where everything goes back to normal, and here I can see, by the way, that cursor changes, that everything's aligned. If I click there, now everything after this cut will stay just like this, but all these ones are gone for this part, and I can adjust this one. It becomes sort of like an individual video, and I can adjust, say I want this one focused. I can make it big here. Now, when I play this part, it goes like this. Right, pretty simple, pretty visual looking too, right? So you can kind of tell what's going on by looking at the timeline. And then say we want to spice it up even more. Say we want a little bit of motion here. They actually make it pretty easy to do this as long as you know where it goes. We want to put it where we want it to start, right? So say we want it to say we want it real big. And we want it to sort of pan from this corner up to the other corner. We'd start here and make sure we're right at the beginning of that. And you can see that up here, actually. You can see where the cursor is in relation to the clip itself. Then over here in the video, we have motion. And if we click this little circle, it says toggle animation. We click that there, it'll automatically make a keyframe where we want it to, basically a keyframe, it'll remember that spot. So then we want to go down to the end, or wherever we want it to stop moving. There's good. And simply move it to where we want it to end itself. And you can see it's creating this little line, this little blue line showing where it's starting, where it's going. And once you did that, once I did that, it automatically up here, you can see it automatically created another keyframe for me. And then if I scroll back, it looks like that. So we're here. Oh, that was just my computer being wonky. Let's see if it... Right, and you can do that as much as you want. And you can have, you know, everything cut out except for one student. You can do whatever. It's a really basic way to add a little bit of like flair to it. There are much fancier ways, of course, to do all kinds of stuff and to render them onto 3D objects and have it be a spinning ball of students or whatever other thing Eric Whitaker wants to do or whatever. You know, I don't personally know. I could probably figure out how to do that stuff. I don't have any. I think that's too much, to be honest, for our sort of stuff. But I like doing the little panning and stuff, and it's fun to like dramatic swells. To the zoom out is a cool one to do, I think. And sometimes what I do is, to make it a little bit easier, I will render out the entire video as one unmoving thing. Like that's probably what I would do with this. If this was a real video I was doing, I would render out just this video of it unmoving, like just a static 16 shots of people playing, export that as one video, then bring it back in a different session by itself. That way, when you start doing all these animations and such, it's not, you're only working with one video technically, so it's easier on your computer. And you can just zoom in on specific people by just making it bigger. Right? If you want to like zoom in on somebody, you don't really have to zoom. You just go like this, and now they're closer up to the camera, right? And all that. And there's just some nice ways to add a little spice, fade-ins, fade-outs, moving. I mean, you can also animate the opacity, which is the you know how visible it is. So if you wanted, you can animate really specific fade-ins and fade-outs and such the exact same way. You just click this little opacity, this little toggle animation button. It'll create a keyframe. You know, move the cursor to wherever you want it to change. And I mean, I would never actually do it this way, and then just change it. So you want to go down to 0 there for some reason. Automatically makes that keyframe for you. And now it slowly fades out there. I don't, you know. And for some reason, those kids are gone. I don't know. And if you want to get rid of those, if you decide you hate it, you can either just turn animation off completely, and it'll delete existing keyframes. And then you can just adjust it like normal time. And now, I will say though, those changes I just made to this one clip, that the way that I did that, that would apply those changes to that clip from here all the way to the end. If you only want it to be for a specific part, you have to hit that C key and cut it. Cut it. Now that it's cut, now I can do whatever I want to this chunk right here. This one. And it won't affect anything from this cut all the way to the end, right? This is like, I can do anything I want to this thing now. And no one can stop me. Yeah, I don't know. Those are really the only ways that I ever do anything fancy, or try to fancy it up or anything. Yeah, so that about covers to me the basics, I think, of the editing process for videos. And again, once you're done with everything, I'm not going to do it with this because trying to be in a Zoom call and export videos from Premiere becomes nightmarish for my computer. But when you're done, save it, first of all. Don't forget to save it, which actually Premiere does auto-save pretty well. But go down to Export, Media, and then it brings up this bad boy, which the basic settings are usually fine. It's just like MP4. I've been using this stuff for years, and I still to this day have no idea what the H.264 means, but it's what I use. I think it's the standard. H.264, and then here I just do, it's basically the default for exporting is what I use. You click here to change the name. We don't want it to be youth1 blah blah blah. Change, you type in whatever name you want there, and also choose the location. And then you can either hit Q, we'll send it to the Adobe Media Encoder, which supposedly does a better job of exporting it cleanly. I'm usually lazy, and I just hit this export button, which it just exports it directly from Premiere, which is fine, and it gives you the full finished video. I exported one last time of what we did last time. So this is just the 4 people, but it has the little text in the beginning and everything. That's my face again. I've never looked at my face so much. This is what we did last time, right? So nothing fancy in that one. Just more of that. Yeah, and that about covers it for me. Does anyone have any questions or things they want to do or problems they've run into or anything they think might be helpful? Cool. Well, if not, I'm going to very least stop the recording. I will put this all up on YouTube, which, coupled with the last session and some other actual edited tutorial videos, I'm still working on putting together. I just thought these live sessions might be a little bit more helpful to get started anyway. But yeah, I'll have those up as well, and hopefully those will be enough to get everybody through it with minimal headache. But of course, yeah, Nick, of course, whenever questions do arise, I've gotten a few emails, answered a few questions. And yeah, feel free to just reach out, even if it's something that I have no idea, the answer to. I'll do my best to try and figure it out.
I wish we had asked Steven about how his Zoom concert thing worked. Nick, did you get to watch it? I didn't get around to seeing it.
I'm gonna stop the recording though, real quick, just so.
Sorry.